Ben Mastwyk is the ringmaster of his band, The Millions, and the creator of 3 albums, the latest of which, Livin on Gold Street, was released in 2021. His new single, released in March, is called Actually, and it is a cosmic country trip that is taking him all the way to 2 shows in South Australia. We're going to talk about the song, the shows. Hello, Ben.
Hello, how are you, Sophie?
I'm very well, thank you. And I'm going to launch straight into the song, Actually, because there is a line in it that goes, I hit the town, pedal to the metal. And I listened to that and I thought, I suspect this may be Ben's life motto. Is it?
It's very autobiographical, that song. Yet strangely, it's one of the few songs that I've co-written with somebody else. Okay. I co-wrote it with another musician, friend of mine, Lara, and I guess she wanted to get inside my brain a little bit and pick that apart. So it is kind of autobiographical, but maybe with some extra people on camera looking at it from different perspectives as well.
What was it like for you to have someone else write about you to you?
It was really interesting, actually, because it kind of pushed me into spaces that I might not naturally be thinking about or writing about myself. It was funny, we were chatting the other day. She checked in with me because she's really curious to see how the song's been going, and she checked in and she'd come to see us play at a bar in Collingwood, and somebody had come up while she was there and said to me, I listened to your new song. It made me just wonder if you were okay. And I was like, yes, I'm okay. That's one of the brilliant things about songwriting, is that you can kind of explore, different aspects of your experience through song. And to me, that was nothing. I was like, yeah, that's wonderful that you asked, and that the song elicited that response in you. But Lara was a little bit almost upset and checked in with me later, and she's like, oh, I hope I didn't write a song that was help you write a song that was upsetting for you. But I mean, you got to dig in, right? As a songwriter, you got to dig into this stuff.
So when you say you don't normally write with co-writers, is that just because you've developed the habit of writing alone, or it is a preference to just be with your own thoughts, be with your instrument and create alone?
No, I've got a funny writing practice. I tend to write a lot on the move. So my whole first record I wrote whilst, most of it was written while walking. There tends to be a lot of dogs involved. A lot of dog walking seems to bring out the kind of writing inspiration. I also wrote a bunch of those songs while traveling through the States as well. So I just find that kind of, moving through the landscape, having that kind of stimulus coming through is really inspiring for me. And I tend to I try and write quickly. I find that my favorite songs are the ones that I don't labor over too much. So I try and get myself in the mode or in the state and open up and let songs come and kind of capture them. And there's a hit and miss rate. Like they're not all gonna work, but you got to be open to the opportunity, I think. And yeah, some of my favorite songs have come in pretty quickly.
So I have visions of you walking a dog, holding a phone with a voice memo function on it and recording your ideas. Is that pretty much how it goes?
Yeah, and writing as well. So lots of kind of thumbing in a combination. It's like if you get a little melody line or something, that's certainly good to sing. But I've done a lot of dangerous writing while walking, so beware. If you see me head down, walking beside the creek, maybe get out of the way. Yeah, or just call out, hey, watch out, idiot.
Now, as you mentioned, the songs that tend to work the best are the ones that come quickly. Is that because you distrust the slower ones, or is that, and if you do, is that from experience? Like when you've taken a bit of time with the song, it normally doesn't work out, so you just think, if it's laboured, I'm going to leave it.
That's an awesome question. Some on my new record, so I'm in the studio at the moment working on record number 4. We're pretty close to finished. All of the songs are done, and we're just kind of doing the finishing touches on the recording. I would say, well, there's some songs on this record that I've been developing over quite a bit of time. And there's actually a couple that I started a long time ago and then stumbled back across, and they just felt right for this record.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to have, I've got a folder in my notes app called the Song Shelf. And it's just all the songs that I've written that don't have a home yet, in various states of completion.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice to go back and look at the shelf, and because different songs for different projects, and this one is very much a millions record. Like, it's a big, bombastic, kind of wild, it's pretty rock and roll, and so only certain songs were going to work for that. So it was nice to be able to go back and pick some off the shelf. Yeah.
Now that segues beautifully into my next question, which is something I found that is common across your 3 albums, is that they are, on one level, they are pure entertainment. So you just talked about the bombastic sound of the millions, but even your first album, which was not a millions album, there is that entertainment in it. So I'm wondering if you would consider yourself a born entertainer.
Yeah, I would. I'm kind of surprised that you picked that up from. Can I ask you a question? What was it in the first record that you kind of see in that way?
I think it's just there's a certain beat to the songs and the way you're delivering them that to me signals an intention to connect to an audience. And so I guess that's, for me, that signifies someone who wants to entertain as well, because being a performer, in order to make that connection to an audience, you need to be an entertainer, I think. So, because if you just go to sit on a stool quietly, half turned away from the audience, you're not necessarily going to connect. So I just was listening to it thinking, yeah, this one's entertaining. They're all entertaining. This is just, on one level, listening to it, it's just pure fun. I will ask you a question though about the deeper levels of it in a second, but I did wonder if you thought of yourself as a born entertainer.
I definitely do. I think you've definitely kind of, stumbled upon the kind of essence of me doing this. Is I love a sad song, but I want to create musical experiences that people can connect with and have a really good time.
Mm-hmm.
You can still have sad, meaningful songs. Country music has always been like tragic stories, upbeat kind of music.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the, as Americana has kind of become a lot more of a thing, there's a real focus on the song, which is great, because if the song's not there, then you got nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of kind of, as you say, like sitting back, kind of a little bit shy or whatever. That's not me. It's like we turn it on, and the higher the energy we can create at the show, and the more we can engage people, the more I get off on it. And you get that wonderful kind of symbiosis, cyclical thing going on with your audience. So you nailed it there, mate. Absolutely nailed it.
And makes me wonder if you were like that as a child.
Yeah, I was always a show off, I think. Yeah, always a show off for sure. I was an only child, and maybe that's part of it. I got siblings later in life, but I think I was always pretty outgoing. Yeah.
So at what age did you start to sing or play an instrument? Which came first?
So I played saxophone in like early high school. So I was drawn to music.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I was living in South Gippsland, so I grew up in Melbourne and then moved to South Gippsland in about year 8.5, I think it was, of high school. And that's when I really started embracing music there. And I wanted to learn drums. I was, doing music at school. I wanted to do drums, but our music teacher at the time there was a few other people in the class that wanted to learn guitar, and so he decided to make things easier for him. And as a teacher, I get that. He decided that everyone was going to do guitar that semester.
Okay.
So I kind of was like, okay, and this was, I would have been like 16, I guess, and I was really into like Nirvana, Magic Dirt,
right.
Grunge was happening. And so it was kind of accessible, this idea of like picking up a guitar, learning 4 chords and start to write your own songs. And I think, the grunge and country, they say that country is 3 chords and the truth. And, grunge is probably something very similar to that. So I picked up the guitar and then just started writing straight away and formed a band, and kind of, it was right for me.
Yeah. So when did you convert to country music from grunge? Not to say that you aren't still interested in grunge, but clearly country has become your direction.
Oh yeah. Look, the rock and roll is definitely still there, and I feel like the music I'm making now is closer to the music that I was making when I was younger than it's ever been. Not grunge so much, but certainly kind of, I got really into like experimental rock. I like soundscape kind of stuff, and I'm a huge fan of like Nick Cave and the Birthday Party and that kind of stuff, which has got this real punk energy, and I'm always trying to drag that back into what we're doing now, even though I definitely identify as a country artist. It's what I'm into, it's what I'm making. I really like to push the boundaries. So that came for me when I was about 30, I guess. I'd given up music for a bit, and then I decided I wanted to get back into it. I'd become really obsessed with, I'd grown up on like Lucinda Williams, Emmylou Harris, Paul Kelly, who's not country, but kind of is at the same time. And then kind of became really obsessed like with Gillian Welsh and David Rawlings, and then Graham Parsons, and then I was just like on the slippery slope then. It's like I couldn't listen to anything else. I must have listened to Graham Parsons like, exclusively for about 2 years, and then started listening to everybody that influenced him. And then there's something about when country music gets its hook into you, it's difficult to listen to anything else, because it kind of doesn't have the same, I don't know, emotional connection. I think country's really great for emotional connection. Yeah.
Well, you use the word boundaries, and look, you must have ESP, because I have that in a question as well. Thinking, when I'm listening to the instruments on your songs, and thinking, it doesn't seem like you're just putting synthesizer on for the sake of it, if that makes sense. It's what does this song need? What can I put on this song to get the most out of it? Which instruments are going to do the job?
So, I mean, we've all got our references, right? And we go back a lot to like Jeff Lynne's production. So like, Traveling Wilbury and stuff that he did with like Tom Petty and, so many people that kind of, I guess I am a child of the 90s. And so production was really kind of late 80s, early 90s. Productions were becoming much more experimental, and country music got absorbed into that. And I love classic country, like 60s, 70s is probably where I really identify with the kind of sound and the way it's going. But then it's really interesting to see what happens when that comes into the 80s and early 90s, and production starts becoming a bit more electronic and a bit more pulsing. And it's like, I'm sure you're familiar with Daniel Lanois and the records he's done, like Wrecking Ball that he did with Emmylou Harris, and Teatro that he did with Willie Nelson. And it's like, I mentioned before that I was into like kind of like soundscape and sound. I studied like sound art and stuff at art school, and so I really get into the kind of sonic qualities of that, and where they take the listener and me within that kind of song universe. So I'm interested in creating kind of different spaces, I guess, for for those songs to live, I guess.
Yeah. Well, sound art, that is the key, I think. I actually haven't heard of that as a subject for study before, but it certainly makes sense in the context of your music.
Yeah, I after my band, we were getting more progressively more experimental toward this. Is my teenage band, and we got progressively more experimental to the point where it was quite experimental. And then I went overseas for a bit and then came back and kind of was in a few other bands. And they were actually, we had no songs or anything. We were like doing soundtrack for like circus stuff and youth theater and like art, experimental art shows and stuff like that. And you just kind of like roll up with your instruments and play them in non-traditional ways and make soundscapes and noise. And I always love that free form kind of sound art approach to it. But I love songs and I love songwriting. And so if I can bring those elements together, I think that's when I start getting the most excited about what's going on.
And sometimes structure can be quite liberating as well, because you've talked about punk, grunge, country. These are songs that have structure, and in punk's case, very tight structure. But I sometimes think that means that you, as a creator, you spend less energy and time worrying necessarily about how you're getting from A to B, and more about what's in between.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get to play the song. You get to, like, a song is like a 3-minute movie, if it's done well, and you get to bring people in you get to bring them into an entirely created world that may be related to your experience. It might be entirely fiction. It might be somebody else's story. But when it works, you get to bring people into that world, reveal that story, and spit them out the other end, and that can be really profound. And it's also kind of quite rare. Like it's fairly rare that music does that for me, and I find it easiest to engage with songs in that way through country music. I find that they're the ones that grab me and take me on that journey and show me that little miniature movie and spit me out at the other end. And that I just find that amazing, the fact that you can do that within, with some guitars and drums and voice, like the fact that you can create that and do that and take people on that journey, I find really incredible.
Now, I talked about your songs as entertainment, but there is a deeper level in them all, and there are themes of good and bad, of heaven and hell, and the why and wherefore of life, I think. Are these themes that you've been interested in for a while, from the start of songwriting, or are they themes that just emerged through your songwriting? You thought, I think I'm going to follow that.
It's interesting. I don't know that I entirely kind of, identify with what you're saying there, but I love that you're picking up those themes, and I would love to interview you later and find out your take on all of this. When I kind of look back and analyze my writing, I find that pretty much most of the time, all of my songs are about relationships, relationships with people. I think they basically all are. So I think, I've got my own experiences, and then I've got like these kind of archetypal relationships that kind of live in my psyche and subconscious. And that's typically what I'm tapping into when I'm writing. Most of the time, like I'll say 8 out of 10 times I write a song, I do not know what it's about until later. And there's a song on my new record. It's called All the Songs I Wrote a Year Ago Are All About Me Now.
Right.
So I've become aware of this weird prophetic quality of songs where I'll write about what feels like fictional characters and fictional narratives to me. And a year down the track, I'm like, God damn it, it's happened again.
Wow.
This is it's me, it's my experience, it's my life, and it's happened so much that I had to write a song about that.
So
Little
it's
bit
almost
meta.
Well, it's almost like you're accessing parallel dimensions of time.
Well, you know, this is cosmic country music, right, Sophie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's
so
coming through.
yes. we like to tap into alternate dimensions for sure. That's when the good business is happening, I find. Yeah.
Well, you are going to tap into those alternate dimensions in a couple of shows in South Australia. Now you have the first at the Wheatsheaf Hotel on Friday, the 26th of May. Have you played there before?
I haven't. You know, this is my first time playing in South Australia, and I'm
Really?
so excited. I know. It's we tend to just do the East Coast run, you know, and I'm really excited about it. I've got a few friends over there who I'm excited to see. We're going there with HILLSBOROUGH from Brisbane, who are good friends. We've done a number of shows with them. I love them guys. They're heaps of fun. I love their music. I'm really excited to meet Todd. He put this show together, and we're only I'm looking forward to just hanging out with him and seeing him perform as well. My man Patrick Wilson is so he's playing drums with me, but he's putting out his own record at the moment, and it's amazing. If you haven't checked out Patrick Wilson's stuff, please get out and check it. You'll love it. And there's a rule with the Millions. I only employ superstars. So I've also got Katie Bates with me as well. I'm sure people know Katie Bates. So she's playing bass and will be singing with me. She's amazing. She's got her own incredible stuff. And we've also got Jessie Lee from Hunter and Jessie Lee's Bad Habits, who is an Adelaide local. And yeah, I've always admired her guitar playing, and yeah, she has been playing with the Millions for the last 3 or 4 months, and I just absolutely love playing with her. So that's our crew that we've got for this run, and it will be my first go in South Australia.
And your second go will be the next night at Three Brothers Arms in Macclesfield. That's on the 27th. So given that I imagine you put a lot of energy into shows, when you've got shows on consecutive nights, do you have a little power down time sort of the day of the second gig? No, pedal to the metal.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. No, I've got to be careful with my voice because I do have a tendency to, just really dig into the first night. So, but I'm getting better at that. I'll protect my voice. So don't worry, anyone coming to Three Brothers Arms, I'll still be able to sing. Yeah. But no, it's like we're here for a good time in a short time. So I'll yes, please, Adelaide and South Australia, come out and party with us. Come and hang. We want some. We want to meet everybody over here because we would love to be coming back, every 3 months or so, and get a bit of a party going on, get a vibe happening.
Well, having spoken to you, Ben, for this interview, I wish I was going to be in Adelaide and Macclesfield for those shows, because I am sure they will be absolutely fantastic. It's been so interesting to talk to you. I'm looking forward to this new album when it comes out, and we may talk again then if I'm lucky. But thank you very much for your time tonight.
Oh, thank you so much. It was a really great conversation. It's nice to dig beneath the surface of things. So I really appreciate it. Thanks, Sophie.
Thank you.